All right, good morning. Welcome to the Axe the Expert Show. Host Gary Cassady here. I've got a very special guest today talking about business coaches and why it's important, all the way from Canada. Let's bring on Karl Bryan. Karl, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing good, man. Better now that I'm here with you. What's going on, Gary?
Awesome. So you're coming from Canada, right? What part of Canada are you from?
Live in British Columbia, close to Vancouver, for those that not totally familiar. But I live in a place called Kelowna. So it's a little hot spot, lakes. It's often been compared to like Denver, Colorado. It's very Colorado-esque. Lots of lakes, lots of mountains. If you're an outdoorsy kind of guy, this is heaven, man. But close to Vancouver, bud.
Yeah. Now I see some hockey jerseys in the back there.
You do. These are not real. that nose is real. I've been punched many times by very large men in that nose. So played some hockey in my day, man. And yeah, I love it. And I understand. And we share an appreciation and a love of hockey, man. So
very cool. My son is playing hockey now. He's a goalie, moving up in the world, being recruited by guys. It's like 8, 9 years old. He's being recruited. It's absolutely amazing to me.
It's pretty wild, man. Pretty crazy. And hockey, it's a great sport. Like, my gosh, a lot of folks are not, totally familiar with it. It's gaining, significantly, gaining popularity and whatnot. But, yeah, a lot of fun, man. Great sport. It did a lot for me. And I still run around and try to pretend like I know what I'm doing out there. It's not very impressive. But anyways, there you go, man. But moved on.
Yeah, well, good. Well, you're like the man, the myth, and the legend. You are the coach's coach. Like you train these coaches how to be coaches on these business coaches. But what exactly is a business coach? Like,
first of all, thank you. I don't necessarily agree, but appreciate the kudos. Look, here's the scoop. Michael Jordan had a coach. LeBron James has a coach. Wayne Gretzky had a coach. Tom Brady, who I have a deep appreciation for. I don't like the Patriots. In fact, he's now a Buccaneer. But Tom Brady, he's got a coach, right? Like, so to think that the most important thing in your life, if you are an entrepreneur, outside of your family, you're going to struggle to find anything, on your faith, but you understand the importance. Now, what do I want to say? The level of importance that your business has is clearly gobsmacking, especially in times like this with a pandemic and all that sort of thing. To think that you're not going to have a coach and to have somebody to guide you, in my opinion, you're missing it. And then why? Think of business as, you're inside a safe, but the challenge is that the code and, the number board is outside of the safe. Right? So guess what? You can't see it. You are in the safe and your coach is on the outside looking in, but he's just looking at the code going 98765. Bum, 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 boom, you're out. Next level for your business, right? But this is the way it is. And, and people, 5% of the population don't have a business coach. And I am here telling you, if you're watching this, you're missing out big time, like big time. Take an experiment. And for the amount of money that you would invest, right? Like the way I explain coaching is it's like buying money at a discount. Okay. So let's say that hypothetically coaching was $2,000 a month, right? Well, Actually, no, hang on. Let me start again. Money at a discount. If I had a 20 and you had a 10, and I said, hey, Gary, can we make that exchange? First of all, you'd go, is he full of poo-poo? You'd look for some social proof. Then you'd realize that I wasn't. And like you'd make the exchange and go, look, let's do it. Well, that's what business coaching is, right? Like they give you whatever the number is. Let's call it $2,000 a month. You're going to give them $4,000, which by the way is going to accelerate, which is going to compound. And that $2,000 a month will be a return by nature of the fact that they're outside the safe, looking at the code, looking at the number board, right? And the growth that you will experience will be unbelievable. So why do 5% of businesses only have a coach? It's wild and crazy, but those numbers are going up, and the ones who are taking on the coaches are winning big time.
Absolutely. I've been a coach for over 5 years now, helping these small businesses. I personally have 3 or 4 mentors and coaches that I actually pay for different aspects of my business. And, to me, it's very important. And when I talk to a new business owner, that it just dumbfounds me when they don't have a coach and somebody maybe they can lean on or go to just for questions.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to have. So.
Yeah, no. Well, may I give you another example of like how sometimes again, so what they'll do is normally instead of going to get yourself a business coach, you get like, say, like a marketing guy, the Facebook guy, right?
Yeah.
Here's where this is diabolical. If a lot of the time a business owner will say, I'm profitable, like they go to their accountant and say, explain this to me. And of course the accountant never has an answer. Okay. I'm profitable. Where's the money in my bank account? Like, how does this work? And let me just tell you that profit, really the way I describe it, I like to teach this accounting and finance. I love it. But at the end of the day, profits are theory. Okay. They're an illusion. And then cash is real. Okay. And so believe me, when you look at your books and you see that you're profitable at the end of the year, and then you look at your bank account and it's like, how come it's empty? You're not alone. This is very, very common. Bunch of different examples that I could give you there. But most importantly, when you go to if you have a cash flow problem and you're at 500 grand, hypothetically, and then you hire the Facebook guy and he takes you to $1 million, okay, which he did his job. He did a great job. You are going to have a significantly bigger cash flow problem at $1 million than you did at 500,000 if you don't plug the holes in the boat. And nobody tends to plug the holes in the boat. And another example that I would give you, and this is, Gary, you know this stuff probably better than I do. Like it's, like unbelievable how powerful it is. When I go to a business owner and I earn them $1, okay, they've got 20% margins. Okay, well, that means that if I earn you $1, how much do you keep? And it's 20 cents, right? Well, if I go to your credit card statements, if I go to your expenses, if I go and save you $1, how much do you keep? And the answer is 100 cents, right? So logically, where's a better place to go? And I can tell you for the business owners watching, I don't need to meet you. I don't need to sit down with you. I know that you're not spending any time on your expenses. You're spending all your time on your growth, right? So that's a huge, like if I was a business coach and I'm charging $2,000 a month, where should I start? Should I start in revenue growth or should I start on going, hang on a second, let's increase these gross profit margins. Let's make you some money, but let's make sure that you keep it, right? I've got a saying, you can get lucky and make it. You can't get lucky and keep it. And I think that's massively powerful. So everybody, hiring a coach will be a very wise decision.
Absolutely. When you're looking at coaches and you coach a lot of coaches, right? So what makes a good coach, Karl? Like, what's that coach look like to you?
I would say the same thing that makes a good hockey player, makes a good basketball player. An elite individual has one word and it's hunger. Like, why does Serena Williams, she's middle of a pandemic, I bet she's hitting tennis balls right now. Roger Federer hitting tennis balls right now. Tom Brady throwing a football right now. Hunger, like how do these guys make, and they're worth $100 million and that's cash in their bank account. Like they have, they're liquid on steroids and they're still out there hitting basketballs, throwing footballs, shooting pucks. It's hunger. And the same thing is, again, I would coach for a long time. I loved it. Hunger is what I believe that I brought to the table. I just, I don't do my best. I'm not the best is not good enough. I do what it takes. And that's what you're looking for in a coach.
Somebody that's going to get out there and help you and push you and drive you to the next level.
Big time. Yeah. And not like there's sympathy and empathy. So sympathy is you're puking on the side of a boat. Okay. Me puking with you, that's sympathy, right? Me going to get you a grab-all, a blanket, rubbing your back, putting you to bed and giving you a glass of water, that is empathy. It's very important. Elite business coaches have empathy. Like, I understand where you're at, but I just don't agree. I know that you have cash flow problems. I know that you have accounts receivable problems. I know that, you hate phoning people. I know that you hate to sell, right?
Exactly.
I don't buy into it, and you're going to do it.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I thought was very interesting when I talk to these small business owners and these business owners, a lot of them really don't even know what like a financial statement is. And so,
what? Sorry,
a financial statement.
Oh,
they can't even really. They just like, we'll send everything to our accountant and let them take care of it.
Yeah.
Why is it important for a mentor or coach to be able to go to a small business and help them understand their financial statement and the growth that they can get from just learning from that?
The level of importance, there's not a scale big enough or grand enough, okay, to answer this. What happens is a business owner gets their tax return, so they call it financials, right? Yeah. I could grab a basketball and put it on my head and call it a hat. but that wouldn't be true either, right? So your financial statements your tax return is not financial statements at all. Your accountant is probably not providing you financial statements. There's three specific ones that you need: a balance sheet, an income statement, and a cash flow statement as well. But without getting too into it, when you go to a football game and there was no scoreboard, how entertaining would it be? And by the way, in the last, when you understand sport, they're always won in the last, a football game is won and lost in the last 2 minutes of the half and the last 2 minutes of the game. If you see the scores, you know what I mean? The number of points scored in those 4 minutes are basically as much as scored in the rest of the entire game, right? And same with hockey, right? I always had a rule when I'm coaching hockey, playing hockey, nobody scores with a minute to go. That's it. That is the rule. That is it, right? This isn't scoring time. This is defense time. But anyway, so okay, what am I getting at? Your financial statements are your scoreboard. And if you don't know the score, and this is Warren Buffett, by the way, you don't know who's winning and losing. And if you don't know who's winning and losing, how can you possibly know what you need to do? How could you know what to up your game? So yeah, very, very important. And if you were to say, drill down and tell me the most important parts of financial statements, there's a few, but accounts receivable, depending upon what kind of business they have, accounts receivable is a huge hole. If you have an accounts receivable problem, okay, here's what you're doing. You're earning the money. You're earning the lead. You're closing the business. You're paying commissions. You're fulfilling on the work. You're paying everybody who's filling on the work. You're paying bonuses to your sales guys and whatnot. And then you're not collecting your money, right? It's asinine. So again, as a business coach though, we can go in and we know that there are these little places that we need to go first to make sure there are holes in this boat. Before we take this boat and push it out into the middle of the ocean, do we need to plug a couple of holes? And there's some very simple and whatnot questions, as you well and truly know, that can really make a massive impact for a business owner if they're willing to, just press pause, sit back and say, I want to look at the entire landscape. What is in leadership? What is the core? What's the most important thing that we can bring to a business owner? Okay. And it's the exact same as hockey, basketball, football, war. Okay. It's the ability to see the entire playing field. Okay. That's how you win at hockey. That's how you win at basketball. Most importantly, that's how you win at war. You have to be able to see the entire playing field. And when you are when you're with Tom Brady, cannot see the entire playing field. He can have a sense of it, but Bill Belichick, that's why he's got his job.
I can't agree more on that. I mean, a business coach, they can see the whole field, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And able to kind of direct and point you in different directions. Sometimes you're a little too close when you're in the action.
Yep.
Yeah. So very cool. Now I had a book of stuff that I'd written, 10K in 45 minutes, Karl.
Yep.
And you kind of seen some of that. And, I have software that, we use with our business coaches and stuff of that nature. What are some of the big things that you really get into your coaching, with your coaches on, stuff like that? Like I can go in and help a business, 10K is kind of on the low. A lot of times we can help businesses, 100,000 or plus more.
Well, I was going to say, I see yours. You're doing $100,000, and it doesn't take you 45 minutes. It takes you 25 minutes. But you're a talented man, Gary. You're a talented dude, man. But yeah, so the question is, what are some of the small little intricacies and whatnot? Yeah. So, first of all, upsell. Do you want fries with that? Don't need to meet them. They don't have it. Example, let's say that you're a lawyer's listening. Do you want a will with that? Okay. 90% of the population don't have a will. They all need it. Say, do you want a will with that? Just, if you're a lawyer listening, don't just go do it. We just made you solid 50, 75, 100 grand this year. The end, right? No cost of client acquisition, no interviews required. It's going to be like money in the bank because the client's already sitting across the table. This is the best money to earn. So you've got an upsell. You got a downsell. Okay. So again, if you can't afford the $1,000 model, you can't afford the BMW, that's 80 grand. Okay. Well, we have another BMW conveniently that is 60 grand. Let's buy that one. Oh, you can't afford that one? Well, guess what? We got this little one that's less than that again, 45, right? I think things are more expensive in Canada, by the way, than in the US, but you understand, right? It's the same deal. So you need to have a downsell. You need to have a cross sell. Okay. In fact, actually, truth be told, upsell is I got to make sure I explain this properly. Cross sell is actually, do you want fries with that? And then upsells is, do you want me to supersize that? Okay. So do you want the flashy colors? Do you want, again, with the car, do you want the electric windows? Do you want the sunroof? Do you want the video dealio on the back of the seat so that the kids can watch all that sort of stuff? So, basic upsell, downsell, cross sell. Here's a big one. I've got a saying, change your offer, change your life. You need to have a very, very powerful way to have clients come in and test you, right? So like, I'll give you an example in our world, like a business coach. We often do, what do you call it? Like we do workshops, and you probably do focus groups, that sort of thing. So we do workshops, and then people come, we provide massive value. Sometimes they buy, sometimes they don't. We're totally fine with either. Our goal is, as business coaches, I don't want to just help the people who are paying me. I want to help everybody. Right? There's not a person in the city, in the state, in the country, in the nation, on the globe that I don't want to help grow their business. Right? So we put people in the room, and then some of them are like, put up their hand, I want to buy, and then some don't. It's totally fine. But that's a compelling offer on steroids. Or again, I can find you $100,000. Like Gary, what you can say, you can find anybody $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. I mean, like, how are you going to say no to that? Right? Like, if you don't take them up on it, you're just crazy. So if I'm a personal trainer, okay, I'm going to do a boot camp on Mondays where you can invite your friends. I give you a really nice, easy way to refer people. That's a freebie. And then from that class, I'm going to sell you into my personal training services, right? So that would be an upfront offer. You've got to have a killer. It can be a report. It can be a lunch and learn. It can be a seminar. It can be a puppy dog close where you offer your goods for free for a period of time and then sell them.
Absolutely.
A bunch of so upsell, downsell, cross sell, upfront offer, a bunch of other ones I could give you, but those are critical. And okay, I can't say that with what I believe to be the most powerful thing you can do in a successful business. Take managing your expenses seriously, right? Like most people have managing their expenses. It's up there with returning the library book. This is a horrific mistake. In fact, I'll give you another example. Okay, so we got a client. We talked about financial statements. So let's assume that they have break even. They did 800 grand last year. And they have $400,000 as their break even, right? Gary, you sit with them for 2 minutes. You better show them, here's your break even. And he'll be very, very close. You've got to establish that. And if you're listening to this, you don't know your break even, you got to go find it. Here's why. And I believe this to be magic and more psychology than practical application. This is it. 800 grand, 400 break even, at 400 grand. Oh, sorry. And this business has 60% gross profit margins and 20% net. That's important. And if you're listening and you don't know what those things are, don't worry about it. It's very, very basic. Again, Gary's software is an example, right? It works out in about 2 seconds, but it's very basic stuff. 60-20. Okay. On the first 400 grand that they earned, they're making 20% margin. So that means they profit 80 off of the 400. And that's what most people watching this are used to earning. Okay. So 80 grand on 400 profit. On the second 400 grand, remember they did 800, because they covered their expenses, which is the difference between net and gross. But just hear me on this one. The second 400 grand, they make 60% margins. So that means you earn $240,000 profit on your second 400 and you make 80 on your first. Your job as an entrepreneur is to get into that second half, get above break even as quickly as possible. And then when you get there, make sure that you maintain expenses, so that you maintain, control your expenses so that you stay in 60 instead of 20. But what do most folks do? They just shell out, grow, Facebook this, Instagram that, Snapchat, whatever, advertising all over the place, which is good. You should be advertising to profit, right? It's a great idea, but you got to make sure that you're controlling those expenses. It's absolutely critical. And I don't think that people do that. And what I just described, Gary, and I know you know this stuff so well, and this is what you help them with, which is why I felt like this is the place to go. This is more psychology than it is practical application, because you've really got to dial in that, you need to care about your expenses. It's critical. So
that's awesome. You hit the nail on the head with a lot of that stuff. And a lot of these businesses, if they would just sit down and take a class or have a mentor or coach that would help explain this, it could actually explode their business, tenfold. So.
Yeah. No question, man. No question.
Yeah. We help a lot of businesses. And one of the mottos that I've actually lived by my entire career is act like a champion.
Oh, yeah.
And
I like that.
So like I have a website, actually, actlikeachampion.com. That's where I drive all my business coach. But a lot of people don't realize what the ACT actually stands for. And the A is for attitude. The C is for conditioning. And so I believe you have to condition your mind, your body, and your spirit to actually be successful. And then obviously the T is the techniques. And so when I'm talking to my businesses, I'm literally going in and I want them to be, like a champion. They've got, the condition themselves to take the failures to grow. I had one business, Carl, that literally he was selling commercials for like $500 or $250 a commercial. And I'm like, how are you even making any money on that? And I had to condition himself to raise his prices up to $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 just to make, to start making a profit. And once I got his mind changed about, because his mindset was only people they're broke. These businesses are broke. They can only afford $250. They don't want to spend it, because that was kind of like his business. His business wasn't making money. Once we got his business mind changed around, he was selling commercials left and right, and he couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, right there. And so, and I love it. And I'd also say this, that repeat business equals profit. Like as a rule, like a lot of folks have businesses that are really promotions. This is again where we're outside of the safe and we can see the code, right? Promotion versus business. So if you're a realtor, you're a promotion, because people aren't buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses. Not happening. Yeah, they'll buy another one in 5 years, but it doesn't count. And by the way, if you want to hear a great one, somebody will buy a house within 2 years. They forget their realtor's name with 80% predictability, right? So there is no repeat business happening. I got bad news. If you're a realtor listening, you should think about what you're doing. Possibly, maybe not. But the bottom line is repeat business equals profit. Or like I've got a neighbor 3 doors down, 27-year-old, has a $350,000 Lamborghini. They own a cleaning business. Most people, when they think about business, they go, "Oh, real estate. That's so sexy." It's sexy and delusional is what I refer to it as. That's sexy.
Absolutely.
The secret, the 4-hour work week is forget it, right? It's to sell books, right? Like there's no 4-hour work week happening for you, me, them, nobody, right? The guy who wrote the book will tell you that. But anyway, so repeat business equals profit. Cleaning is a great business. People think it's a terrible one. That's an unbelievable business because you're coming back every week and the mess isn't going to stop, right? So a lot of folks have promotions. Another example that I use a lot is, do you want to sell dogs or do you want to sell dog food? Okay. Dog food is a business you could sell. You can make millions and you could sell it for multiple millions one day. Purebred dogs is a promotion. You'll never sell it for 5 cents. So you're working for 1, 3, 5, 7 years breeding these dogs. Yeah, they're amazing and you love it. That's great. But just understand that you're building, this is a promotion. This is not a business in any way, shape or form. Right. So anyways, just making sure you have that back end. I think that's also an important business lesson.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, also, some of our listeners, what are some good tips? I know when you're looking for a coach, what are some tips that you can kind of hit the, nail on the head where you get the right coach?
Yeah. Look, knowledge is a 101. Hunger, said that earlier, but really, I think you got to sit down. Like again, anybody sit, and Gary, people can tell by just watching, the way you're held, this like rapport, right? Like you sit with somebody, they're a good guy, you feel comfortable, right? That dynamic, I really think that's an important part of it because this is a coach. This is someone who's going to be kicking you in the backside, holding you accountable. So this is what I think. So what do? You sit down with them. Do they have the tools? Like again, it's okay. Here's something to be cautious of. Rah, jumping up and down, clapping hands. This is amazing. That's amazing. Like, okay, motivated. Here's my saying, right? A lot of times in coaching, what you'll hear is that your client already knows what they need to know. You just need to draw it out of them, right? Well, I got a better saying. You motivate an idiot, they do stupid things quicker, right? Like you don't know how you're doing. We're going to freaking turn you around and hit the emergency brake, not speed you up, right? So again, knowledge. So that comes back to critical tools, like your software as an example, right? Like that's what you need. Does your coach, does he have critical tools? Does he have the ability in one session to sit down with you and legitimately, without charging you, charging you huge amounts of money, the ability to be able to find you money so you can feel comfortable that this is going to be a money at a discount exchange. So you're going to part with, again, hypothetically, $2,000 a month, whatever the number is. Some are more expensive, some are less expensive. Of course, you've got your contingency deal and that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, you sit down with somebody, do they have the critical tools and the know-how to legitimately be able to take your business to the next level? And make sure that you take the time, sit with them, and you got to make sure you feel like you've got rapport with this person. So they got to have the critical tools, and there needs to be rapport, because this relationship is Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I mean, there's a famous, they didn't always get along. They didn't always see eye to eye. Tom Brady's on the bench screaming, yelling, all this sort of stuff. Like, that's a real relationship. Like this, and this is a relationship that won, is it 6 Super Bowls, right? Was it 6 or 5?
Yeah.
So that's what you're not looking for a sweetheart. You're not looking for somebody who's going to pat you on the back and tell you how amazing you are when you're really not. That's a horrific coach, right? So somebody who's going to hold you accountable, you feel comfortable, but those tools, and I believe that rapport is very, very, very important. So sit down with them and gauge that.
Absolutely. You mentioned something just a second ago, like talking about money and so forth. Like, why is it important to actually pay somebody to be your coach? Like, financially, why is that important?
Bad advice is very expensive. Or free advice is very expensive. There's this, when you spend money on something, it means something, right? That, again, this is psychology. It's absolute fact. It's undeniable. It's proven. These are universal principles, right? So you got to take it seriously. This will, like what we hear all the time, right? You get it. It's like I did the work because I knew you were calling, right? So there's just a story. Gary Halbert, very famous copywriter, passed away not long ago. Legend of a guy. He would say that he wrote some of the best copy in the world. And in fact, the sales letter, one of the most popular sales letters of all time, did billions of dollars, and believe it was actually mailed out billions of times. Unbelievable. You can look it up. Basically, everything was going sideways. His wife was like, "You're going to go get a job. This is stupid. We've got a family to look after." And he sat down and it was crunch. It was either I'm doing this or I'm going to get a job and the dream is over. Well, he sat down, and the way that he describes is that he had a gun to his head, right? So you got to sit down. And it's like, you've got a gun to your head. Like, that's a good way to, to really express, to kind of think about your business, and it's time to do it, right? And of course, the magic of a coach is they can hold you accountable. They become the gun because they know you're calling on Tuesday, right? So anyways, that's again, it's so important. You got to pay, and again, bad advice is very, very expensive. Again, make sure that your coach has the tools. Make sure that your coach has the ability to legitimately create a scoreboard. You've got to be able to keep score, right? So again, if you don't have the tools and they don't understand what the upsell, the downsell, the cross sell, and all this stuff that I'm describing here, this is not the right person for you. You don't want somebody motivating you and jumping up and down and clapping hands all day. That's good for a period. Motivation is good. You've got to be positive, and you've got to be, have fun. Somebody can find you to rev you up. But Warren Buffett doesn't go into a meeting. He doesn't invest in Apple. He didn't decide to take all of his, cash out of the entire airline industry while he was pumped up. He didn't go outside and jump up and down Tony Robbins style and go make a real, emotional decision. He sat down, with tools and calculators and computers and frankly advisors, and they made a calculated, intelligent decision, right? So make sure your coach has got tools like that, like things like software, most definitely.
Man, that's awesome. I can't appreciate it enough. You get on the show and talk to us about that.
Oh, cool, man. That's good.
So I mean, it's awesome. So, and thanks, I mean, all the way from Canada. So
You bet.
we appreciate it. And if you guys want to learn more about what I do and how I can help you, and actually, I've got a free book you guys can actually download. If you visit my website at actlikeachampion.com, go there and you can download the free book, and maybe we can set up a free consultation for you. So, hey, Carl, we appreciate you being on the show.
You bet.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, you bet, man. That was great. And can I just double that? You're a fabulous guy. Obviously, we get along really well. A couple of hockey guys, right? Guys, you should take him up on the offer. Like the end, it's very, very valuable, unbelievable, process that he's describing there and what he'll do with you. But love you, Gary. You're a great guy, man. Thanks for all you're doing, and go kick some butt, dude.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You bet.